Honestly, these weapons are so powerful. These weapons are so powerful. It kind of makes the game pretty easy. And I'm glad that there's a hard difficulty coming out, because this is kind of sad. This game is way too easy with these weapons. Way too easy.
Shit, man, they're here.
Well, wouldn't you know it, I made a video about the best gun, and the best gun being basically almost any 7.62 weapon that you can have and use. Added more, of course, now. But now 7.62 rounds on hard mode do not one-shot targets anymore. So I kind of got my wish that, you know, 7.62 rounds made the game a little bit too easy. Now the 7.62 round is actually the worst weapon to pick when you are playing on hard mode. Now on standard mode, it's still an incredible tool that you should be using. You are going to get a few less points or whatever, and sometimes there are occasions where a target might even be bleeding out after one shot after he's been incapacitated. So you'll actually have to report him twice, because you'll report him because he was incapacitated, and then you'll report him because he had died and bled out. So going on to what 7.62 weapons there are, let's look over the 7.62 weapons that we have and the differences and disadvantages of each one between the 7.62 rounds as well. Now there are a few 7.62 round weapons, one being the G3A3 as well as the GA51, the M14 S16 as well, and then you got the Mark 17. Then the last one, technically speaking, because I am referring to 7.62 by 51mm, not 7.62 from the assault rifle, which is by 7.62 by 39mm. I am referring to the 7.62 by 51mm. Now this one is a good 7.62 weapon. The SA58 honestly is really great. The weapon swap speed is solid. It's not slow like the other 7.62 rounds. For something like the G3A3, it is slightly slower, not as bad. Then when you get to the M14, this is pretty awful. Very long weapon swap time. And by itself, it's not a big deal. All these little things add up to making it just a little bit worse than it should be. And then finally, you got the Mark 17. Just as long as the M14, honestly. Pretty slow. Kind of disappointing. Then finally, the GA51. Decently fast. This is the weapon that I would recommend using, as it does have a solid recoil. You can use canted sight, and it is a decent weapon overall for being a 7.62 weapon. You can even full auto it and control it pretty well. It's honestly not that bad in terms of recoil, and even though it does have a smaller mag, it does reload decently fast. It is important to note, if you are using a 7.62 by 51mm round, it is important that you take an SFMB brake and any of vertical recoil reduction grip. That's the TH grip here, and then the vertical grip. Either one are fine. It's simply just going to help you with like the upwards recoil, because if you do not have those things equipped, and let's say you have something like this, you're running something like this, like a combat grip and a suppressor, recoil is going to be a lot less manageable and have a much more aggressive climb. Whereas if you are using the other brake and recoil reduction, the recoil is a million times more manageable in terms of being able to stay on target, making it a much more viable weapon. Notice a lot of the time, it is pretty rare that you're not going to be killing a target if you shoot 2 rounds in them. A lot of the time they end up just going down, since that second shot is going to either make them die or simply even just bleeding out from those 2 shots. Since it's a pretty good probability that when you are shooting someone, it's likely that they are going to be bleeding out. So it is something to be aware of, since you will get like a slightly worse rank. And if you do shoot a target of importance that you need to arrest and you're trying to get that score up, then and do your primary objectives, of course, then obviously it's going to be a lot harder to actually go through with it, because, well, you have a higher chance of actually killing that target, and therefore making it much worse for when you are trying to complete objectives, which is always just going to suck. Now, let me be super clear. 7.62 round weapons are great on standard. Basically 1 to 2 shots max for essentially any target, as long as you're hitting center mass, puncturing through the armor. Basically 1 shot on average. There's a very few amount of enemies that will take 2 shots if you are hitting their actual body without any armor. So for example, if they don't have any armor on, 1 shot no matter what will oftentimes kill them or incapacitate them. There are a few enemies that have a little bit more base health, and if they're wearing armor, then it might take 2 shots, but generally speaking, it's pretty much always just going to be 1 shot the majority of the time, and then occasionally going to be a second shot. So on standard, 7.62 weapons are an incredible weapon, no matter what. Super effective for stopping the threat, which is obviously what we want. But obviously what I'm talking about is hard mode, hardest difficulty. They have increased health. Generally speaking, they're also going to have higher level armor plates. So that means even with the lowest level enemy with the lowest grade of plate, it's still going to be 2 shot take out enemies. So, and then when you compare it to the 5.56, it's only 2 shots as well a lot of the time, and you'll get 10 more shots in your magazine. And depending on how many points you put in, obviously because you're bringing the same magazine, every point spent when you bring extra magazines, it's 10 ammo times however much more ammo you're taking. So if you take 10 magazines, you have an extra 100 rounds essentially. Not that I think you would ever take 10 magazines. I'm sure maybe some of you do. But so whenever I'm talking about is a 7.62 round good, I'm always talking about hard difficulty. I want to make that clarification. So some people are saying, no, 7.62 is really good. I'm talking strictly on hard difficulty. Standard, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But on hard, way different. So what am I saying about the 7.62 round? Am I saying it's a bad weapon, technically speaking, on hard mode? No, it's still a functional weapon that you can use and still get really good results. It's just that the 5.56 or 300 blackout for that matter, it's just going to be a better round to be using, simply because downside to using those anymore. The 7.62, you had all these benefits, but now with using the 5.56, the only difference really between like the damage values are there's not really enough to matter. You are going to be able to shoot at a target no matter what, 2 shots or 3 shots, like on average, no matter what on hard mode with a 7.62. But if you're using the 5.56, it's basically the same amount of rounds a lot of the time, and you don't have to worry about extra recoil from the round. You don't have to worry about less ammo in your magazine. You don't have to worry about slightly longer reload times or swapping to your pistol, depending on the 7.62 weapon you're using, as they are still kind of like weird with that. They haven't balanced out like swapping speed for some reason. Like there's some differences between each weapon, but all this is to say is that the 7.62 is still a good rifle. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just that the 5.56 just excels in almost every way that the 7.62 just doesn't. It used to be great because it had the benefit of shooting a target once and they die, and or being able to have way better penetration. So the 7.62 has great penetration. That's the one thing that you can't really beat with the 5.56. So anyway, all this is to say that the 7.62 weapon is still very effective on hard mode. It's just that there are better options if you are trying to be more efficient, have more resources, because you have more rounds, which means you can shoot more rounds, which means you can hit more targets, which means you can kill more targets, and all of these other things. So that means if you have more rounds with you, that means you're going to have more options to have other resources like C2 charges, flashbangs, stingers, all that stuff. Maybe even a little bit more armor, making 2 slots take up your heavy armor instead of just wearing light for an extra 2 slots, because, well, you have more ammo in a 30 round mag than you have a 20 round mag with a 7.62. But anyway, all this is to say it's all great. I still wouldn't use 7.62, generally speaking, on hard mode unless you're trying to make it harder on yourself in some manner, or if you just like the weapon or whatever. If you like 7.62 rounds, cool, use it. But to summarize real quickly, 7.62 just lacks in so many other aspects that the 5.56 just picks up on. 5.56 can do a bunch of more things now that the 7.62 can't, because the 7.62 appeal of the weapon, of the round, is that it was able to one-shot targets, and obviously it had great cover penetration. But now that the only benefit is the cover penetration, which a lot of the time, let's be real, if you are trying to shoot a target through a wall, it's crazy how often you get unauthorized force, even if they are shooting back at you. It's really weird, and you risk the chance of hitting a civilian. Every time I've tried to shoot through cover, it's very often that I've actually shot a civilian more often than a suspect, which is kind of hilarious. And I also want to say before I end this video that once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will be reviewing videos that you guys send me. So I just want you to play Ready or Not map, and I will just look over your gameplay, critique you, hopefully respectfully as possible. I'm going to try to be respectful as possible. It could be fun. I've already looked at a few videos, kind of took a sneak peek, maybe watched a little bit of it, even though I shouldn't have, because I kind of wanted to do it blind. But I watched, I think, like a little bit of some of the videos that you guys have sent me. I watched like a little bit. I also watched almost a whole one. I know I just got so excited. I just couldn't help myself. I was just like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. Anyway, if you guys want to participate in that, you just gotta subscribe, and then you just gotta comment below and just say, all you have to say is squabblers-review-me, to say hashtag squabblers, and then type in any way you want, review me, in the comment section of the video that I'm referring to. There'll be a 1,000 subscriber one. Honestly, if you want to type it here, that's okay. I am going to create another video once I reach 1,000 subscribers to specifically have a comment here if you want to participate. And then whenever that pops up, then I can quickly go to your YouTube your YouTube channel, look at your video, and then I will be watching it essentially as a reaction. I might get a little impatient to maybe watch it because I'm super excited about this, but the more the merrier. We already have 3 people doing it, with a potential 4th, I believe, on the way. So I have a total of 3 videos right now currently, and I heard somebody say that they were going to also send a video in as soon as possible, so I'm excited for that. So all you have to do, as I said, reach 1,000 subscribers. Once I reach that, I am going to look at the comments. If you have Squabblers Review Me in the comment, you can post a video on your YouTube. I will then click on your channel and then view that video and essentially just review it and kind of almost even coach or give my thoughts and ideas behind, like, if you're doing something wrong, I think, or if you're doing something right. And if you have any questions about the 1,000 subscriber video, just let me know in the comments. Just message me. That's totally fine in the comments. I might eventually get a Discord going so we can have a little bit more direct contact other than just chatting in a comment section. But for now, that's what I have right now. I'm probably going to work on a Discord server maybe at some point when I reach 1,000. And I do want to say just a quick thank you to everyone. Like, it's funny because every time I watch videos about YouTube or something and someone's like thanking their viewers, it's like, it's a weird experience to be like, oh yeah, like, thank you, right? Even though it's like, 1,000 people who have very varied interests in the person that they're watching and all this other stuff. But I am super grateful that, you guys find me entertaining or whatever it is, interesting, or maybe you just hate me. But I'm super grateful for all of that. And I really enjoy it when you guys comment and ask me questions or just want to talk about something or even argue about something. Hopefully, we keep it cordial and professional, generally speaking. So anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Honestly, these weapons are so powerful. These weapons are so powerful.